Chroma Space, they continue their Bright Marsh tear throughout the years and take one game here over the 5randoms. It was right at the perfect time. You can't lose another one here on this best of 5, so they'll look to tie it up here in Game 4. Gormizer joins me to break down Game 3, though. That Koga played a big role.
Yeah, I think there was, again, the biggest thing was the setup, I think, that came down from Nalubka more than anything.
Sure.
Obviously, that ult is game-changing when it comes down to getting the push restarted. But it really helps when you have a 5-man route come through from your support to set you up. That being said, that's only a few of the 17 kills he was able to
yes.
get. He was just, he came out of nowhere and was able to just literally blow people up as he went through. Interesting to note, I think, the difference between his and Ninu's damage, though, because Adam had much more impact on the fights.
Yeah.
Whereas Ninu was melting people early on. It honestly felt like it was going to be Ninu versus the world again. But, well, as has been pointed out, and I think Bear's mentioning, Chroma Space, if there's anything Ovum can train a team to do, it is win Bright Marsh indefinitely. Until I see him lose here, I'm never going to take that away.
Well, I think this Koga, this is probably a good example of it. I mean, melting the health bars of some of these low health targets, and I think, Ninu throughout that game had a lot of emphasis on this ROM and probably on the Ruckus as well, spreading out that damage very well. We figured Ninu was going to be on that Bomb King, and then there's a last-minute pivot that surprised both of us that it was actually Spunky on the BK. Ninu was able to do a good amount of damage. I think Nepo, though, he was second damage in this game. He had a very quiet 106,000 damage in this game.
Yeah,
on that Cassie.
Yeah, just kind of subtle, I think, coming through. A lot of that going more or less onto Zarini, onto that Makoa. He had almost no plays that could be made there. There's a lot of things you could probably look at as well, like, man, if Ninu's on Bomb King, does this happen the same way? And honestly, I think yes. I think there's not much you could do to stop the composition Chroma Space had. And so it maybe could have slowed it down, maybe could have made it a little bit more even, I should say. But I don't know if there was a lot that you could do if you're 5randoms there to swing that map back in your favor.
I think variety has been the name of the game here between these two teams. Shattered Desert.
And it's a spice of life.
That's right. It is a spice of life, and it's a spice of getting wins apparently here. Shattered Desert is what we've got for map number 4. Still a must-win here for Chroma Space. You've got to win 2 straight. We haven't seen Shattered Desert all that much, at least over the last couple of weeks. Any specific champions that maybe jump out at you, or do you just play a traditional matchup and then just kind of variety of play style?
Well, Ninu's on one of these teams, so Eevee comes to my mind. Like, that's actually one of the only ones that I can, when I think of
it's not very specific,
Shattered Desert, it's just kind of like, man, who does well here? Furia always tends to do well, but that's kind of true of every map. Then I would maybe give it to like Bomb King, Eevee, people who can use mobility or have like a big blaster presence on this map. And then it gets a little shakier as time goes on. Flanks can be okay. A lot of this map is just kind of figure out how to get to their backline, melt them, and hope for the best.
I guess that's true.
It's team fights all around.
The flow of the map is really what makes it different. Just kind of the way these skirmishes happen, depending on how you want to take those skirmishes, is maybe more where you look at the changes in your picks and bans. Furia, Leon, and Barrack for picks 1, 2, and 3 here. Finally getting our look at some Furia.
And are unwanted
and
she's been banned out a lot.
I'll say, I think in a multi-part, she deserves the bans. And she's going to be really good for 5randoms here. I don't think there's going to be any downside. Guess what she's going to do? She's going to heal you, and she's going to hit E, and when that happens, you're going to die if you're Chroma Space. That's just going to be the way the fight rolls out for them. There's still going to be, I think, a little positioning specifically for Xin to be able to try and retaliate, but there's not a lot of room for Chroma Space to work around inside that inflame.
Well, I mean, you have to bring it up here. I mean, Leon, the last time I assumed Spunky was playing something, I was incorrect, or Ninu, rather. I'm going to go out on a limb one more time and say maybe it's Spunky on that Leon and Ninu on that Andro.
I'd expect that. Again,
we're rolling the dice one more time here.
But we've seen Spunky play Leon this time around, so I feel like Androxus fits, especially with the way Ninu's been playing. And let me tell you, even in that last game when he didn't do as well as he had been doing the previous 2, he's been on a tear. Andro could very easily just hard carry this game on his own. I will not be surprised if he does incredibly well.
Well, it's 5randoms in Chroma Space. Game 4. Finch, take us in.
Well, they were getting our first look at Furia this session, getting banned out of just about everything as we move into game number 4 on Shattered Desert. Kresnik, what is it that you were looking on? I mean, I'm focusing in on seeing an Androxus out there as well, whose hands that ends up in. What's the big takeaway for you?
I like the combination of Makoa plus a flanker, able to not have to play with the team for them to burn. He could just move with that Androxus on the side, get a hook on someone, and Andrew will be the one to burn it. It's kind of been his biggest weakness. The reason why he's fallen off from literally being first picked or banned every single game to how he is now is his change in damage and the change in the hook cooldown. So not only can you not follow up on your hooks, if you miss, you are basically not that great of a character for 15 seconds every time. Moving with an Androxus, huge damage. You could just do a headshot punch combo plus the Makoa damage. You're probably going to kill more or less anything, so definitely happy to see that. And I gotta say, I'm not too shocked about that Furia first pick. There's 3 members of Na'Vi on 5randoms. After how we saw Mike play when the coach subbed in heroically on Furia on this map, I gotta say, not shocked they would bring it back on Shattered Desert.
No, it certainly makes sense. Maybe a bit surprised that it finally had made it through, as we know how powerful Fury can be nowadays and how impactful she can be as well. That ultimate, incredibly strong. This initial point cap, though, favoring Chroma Space so far. They've already built up 36%, but it's Zarini and the boys who find first blood. This Damba in some trouble now as the Andro goes on a mission, does get the kill, but is immediately traded back out. So Chroma Space largely going unanswered here, but finally Exentra getting himself a double kill, now controlling this mid and has the Furia there to chill with. 5randoms in a good spot.
The peel was actually huge from Coriel, but I guess it didn't really matter in the end. And like I said, that Makoa Androxus combination, so tough to deal with. They're just moving together, and if he hooks you, there is no out. You are just gone.
And I think the reason, why Androxus can do so well here, it can feel so hard to get away from him on this map, can it? Like, he always has a good sight line to you, it feels like.
Especially with Cursed Revolver, this talent that increases his damage fall off. He can play so much safer while still tearing you to pieces. 900 damage on headshots, 600 on a body shot. This flanker is just deleting this point tank.
And that's it for Ovum. Trying to get in to find some kind of touch here is Coriel, but he ends up falling as well. Another turnaround shot, and another death. That time it's Adam. That means his very first point captured by 5randoms. Another Makoa hit, pulling him right back into the Wolves. Nepo falls as well, and 5randoms starting to look like they're here in full force on this map.
Ninusan was just off his keyboard there when everyone was running to the point. He's just behind a statue, enjoying his time.
That's all mouse.
Basically playing Kovacs at that point, aim training, and all comes in. Can't trade for that, but still does some good damage.
Spunky gets one, but does get traded back out by Nepo. But Ninu at this point, largely unchecked on a kill streak at this point as he gets one more kill. But Nepo finally starting to match him. Gets a couple of kills here onto Exentra. That should start to push him back. And whose job is it to try and keep some tabs on this Androxus to limit Ninu's value?
It has to be your Khan, but they're going to have to bring someone else with him too. And then honestly, the pressure comes to the 3v3 on the other side of the map. You have to have your Khan and someone else to fight him. And you can tell right now they get split. They're not together. Adium gets melted right away.
Adium removed from the equation. Ninu, no surprise, finds the kill. They're all working with Fury Ultimate now, so they're able to get past Nepo and the shield to shut him down too. They're beyond the actual point. This payload very likely is going to be able to make it in. A very difficult defense from this point if you're Chroma Space. They do still have Domba ult, but I don't even know if you want to put those resources in, as Bolka catches them the second that he comes out. Very likely should be a catch.
One of the hardest points, I think, to defend on, honestly, in the game. Still spending ults on it, though, with that Enlightenment coming in, but they're still shredding. They just got to stop this Vivian.
That's really all they have to do is get rid of this Vivian. It wouldn't hurt to get the Sonara out of here as well, but they do shut down Ninu. That's huge to stop this push. Remember, they committed ultimates. They got to get this one, and finally they do. They're on top 2-0, R5randoms.
Even with that hero play from Nepo there, staying alive in the corner, they still couldn't convert it. There's basically no natural cover near the objective at all. You look at a map like Warders or Ice Mines, and you can kind of sit behind something, even though I think those are still kind of difficult pushes. But you can always be behind some cover. Not on this map. If you're behind cover, you're not line of sighting the cart, and it's just going to go. There's nothing you can do to stop it if you want to play safe.
It's so difficult, but that's because, like you said, they were able to split up the fight so well, right? This Makoa and Androxus winning that 2v2 on the right means they can come over and provide that support, and then those staggered respawns with that open no cover outside of the base, no way they're going to come out and be able to defend.
Yeah, and I liked how Coriel adapted. He did kind of play that peely, I'll keep you alive, Nalupka, and then he stopped the Androxus, but he's with the Makoa. Zarini is the one who follows up there at the end, plus
Whoa.
Ninu's mounting through the quicksand on the side, being real slow, going for a real wide flank. I'm not sure when's going to come in.
Yeah, I doubt that that's quite what he's looking for there. Spunky has now been grabbed and will end up falling. So that'll be the pause coming out from, I think we clearly saw something happening there with Ninu, so they'll be working on that one here. We'll give the players a pause for a moment.
I was actually so excited for Ninu. I was like, oh my god, he's really going for it.
Right, yeah.
No one touches the quicksand on the side of the map. You go so slow, but I thought he was willing to risk it for something. Maybe they check the side. It's like, we don't see him. Where is he? Then they go in for it. Gotta say, I want to shout at Nepo a little bit here. Here he is dying, as I say that, of course, but I think he's been kind of a silent hero in this game for Chroma Space.
He
really
played the great Cassie game, right, just now on Bright March too, so I think that you're exactly right. They're trying to talk about how well he's played really consistently all set long here so far.
That was the biggest thing I wanted to mention, that he's playing against these huge names.
Yeah.
Not one we've seen too much, and he's showing up as a star. I think he would pair so well with a really, Adium's been doing this, I think, a little bit, but a really like carry level, hard calming blaster player.
Right.
Because he's not really having these highlights, but you look at the end of the game and you're like, oh my god, he did 150,000 damage. Like, I didn't even notice.
Yeah, and you have to compare it not just in terms of he's doing similar damage output to some of these top level players, but also that's who's flanking him. That's who's trying to move him off his positions and take him out of the game, and he's still been able to find those moments to have his impact. So that is huge for Chroma Space, man. I mean, they have looked competitive throughout the entirety of the set. I know it's 2-1 now, but they have made 5randoms work for it here so far.
For sure, and I think 5randoms actually made a good choice bringing them to Shattered Desert. It is kind of a map where you can, if they think they're better deathmatch-wise, if they think their aim is better, you can kind of make it work. You can just wrap around them, play slowly, and then just win your aim duels.
That should be the call. We should be just about ready to get back into the game, but I believe it was Ninu who was never able to make it back into the match here for them, if I'm correct on that one. So we'll see how well 5randoms can keep pushing.
We'll see. He'll have to see. If Ninu runs right to the points, then we'll know for sure if he wasn't able to get back in.
That'll be how we'll know.
He's 100% after he ulted on the low ground there. Managed to save it, but Chroma Space still keep control of the point.
Well, that's going to make things obviously much harder now for 5randoms, right? Fighting essentially without Ninu, who's been tremendously impactful. And once that full pause timer is out, there's really not more that can be done, right? You got to keep playing the match out. So Chroma Space certainly in a good spot here now.
If anything, it makes it a lot harder for Zarini specifically, because we know how important that duo is. Makoa on his own isn't really able to do too much, and you can tell gets gripped, destroyed by Adium, going right to their spawn. Complete turnaround from last round, and it has to do with the flank pressure going away. It's so tough when they're not pressured. When you're not pressuring a Vivian, she can win the game single-handedly.
Ninu obviously ends up dropping as he runs out right away. Ovum and the rest of the squad now in firm control. 5randoms, after playing so well all along, are going to have to dig deep if they want to find a way to try and make this defense happen. Lots of time being bought, though, by the front line on the left. And like you said, it's so tough to come out from that base. You're just constantly taking the rain of fire. They throw Zarini back, and Nebula one's the one that gets the next kill.
Perfect stun grip, too, catching Zarini mid-hook. Even if he hit someone, they wouldn't have been pulled in. They get completely surrounded here because they have no flank pressure.
They have no one that can stop them from having this Vivian setting up into prime position to throw in the damage. They throw one more back to the Wolves. Xentra this time as the payload creeps ever closer. Chroma Space should be able to get this successful push, tie us up 2-2 as we move into the next point.
Don't have to spend any ultimates either, so advantage for that going into this 2-2 fight. No comeback mechanic, so they might have to win 2 fights. Really depends on how clean it is.
Right.
If they have a really scrappy fight and they're always sitting on that objective, always getting some cap time, then maybe they don't have a chance, but it's not guaranteed like with double comeback.
And this is going to be so much more difficult now. They're now reliant, it feels like, almost entirely on Spunky's damage at this point, you know? And I mean, he has been playing well on this Leon here this game, but like you said, a lot of that is because he's afforded so much positioning thanks to what Ninu was able to do.
Also, everyone has ways to mitigate Spunky's damage. When Ninu's up, he can kind of dash up, and Coriel has no real way to survive that. Androx is kind of considered a very big counter towards that Khan. You don't really have that with Leon. Khan can shield all the damage, Khan can shout through a decent amount of the damage, and not going to have the same effectiveness at stopping the off-tank pressuring the back.
He's also doing a good job of forcing Maldamba to give up positioning as well, and you can tell Zarini starting to feel the pressure here as he ends up taking an early spell. Ovum shuts down Xentra with a barrel-stuffed ultimate shot as well. Nepo now with a double kill on the Vivian, and Chroma Space starting to run away with this one as Spunky falls as well. And you were wondering, is they going to have to win more than one fight? Maybe not.
No, maybe not. I will say, I feel for Ovum right now because he wanted to stun Spunky, but the spite actually pulled Xentra directly in front of him, which is why he ended up point blanking him. Xentra not even able to make it to point point that Vivian damage is so strong.
ChromaSpace will indeed capture now that objective and now move on to the payload push and 5randoms. I mean, sometimes, man, the situation's not going to be in your favor, and you got to find some kind of way to try and win anyway. But ChromaSpace on the other side not making it easy. Adam and Nepo continuing to line up like it's a firing range and not even releasing the ADS. There's not even a way to get out of the base at this point.
No, because there's no cover, like I said, and if you do use the cover, you're not actually doing anything. The best they can hope for is go in 4v5, find an early pick maybe with the hook, but everyone has to be ready to clean up because of the Makoa nerfs.
Still plenty of time being bought by this front line. Ovum doing a good job here so far. Nepu does get this kill onto Ninu. Not the hugest deal at this point as they hold onto the ultimate. Spunky does get a pretty critical kill on Nepu, but Adam once again gets right to the tank and takes out Exentra. Ovum finally locks down Zarini as well. Still only a couple members up for them. They have the respawn advantage, but what good is it when you're trying to fight down in numbers? Spunky gets one more, but traded out right away as Kirill takes care of Ninu again.
No way for him to touch either. Exentra is in, but gets pulled immediately by the con!
That's nasty. Brings him right over to the side and shuts him down too. ChromaSpace knew it was over at that point. Victory for them here in Shattered Desert. And we have managed, or rather ChromaSpace has managed to claw their way all the way back to an even set.
You know, I gotta say, it is unfortunate what happened to 5randoms, but maybe, I think everything was as bad as it could possibly be. Not only was it a map where you kind of have to play
It's a tough
scrappy,
map for that, yeah.
The other team had 2 execute ultimates.
Yep.
You're already down in numbers, and they're just going to start every fight with another advantage on you. You can't win an aim duel like that.
It's so difficult there for them, and you saw it happening, right? Whether it was Exentra, whoever it was, they were able to get to them, take them out of those fights relatively easily when they weren't too much worried about that flank pressure. So that game does end up favoring ChromaSpace. We'll find out who ends up taking the entire set on the other side of this break.